Welcome to What's New, your channel for everyday solutions.
Be sure to subscribe, share and like our videos. This is What's New.
How Silicon Valley Plans to Conquer the Classroom. By NATASHA Singer and DANIELLE IVORY. Baltimore County, Maryland. They call it the Church Lane Hug. That is how educators at Church Lane Elementary Technology, a public school here, describe the protective two-armed way they teach students to carry their school-issued laptops. Administrators at Baltimore County Public Schools, the 25th largest public school system in the United States, have embraced the laptops as well, as part of one of the nation's most ambitious classroom technology makeovers. In 2014, the district committed more than $200 million for HP laptops, and it is spending millions of dollars on math, science and language software. Its vendors visit classrooms. Some school children have been featured in tech company promotional video products. And Silicon Valley has embraced the school district right back. HP has promoted the district as a model to follow in places as diverse as New York City and Rwanda. Daily Computers, which supplied the HP laptops, donated $30,000 this year to the district's education foundation. Baltimore County Schools top officials have traveled widely to industry-funded education events, with travel sometimes paid for by industry-sponsored groups. Silicon Valley is going all out to own America's school computer and software market, projected to reach $21 billion in sales by 2020. An industry has grown up around courting public school decision makers, and tech companies are using a sophisticated playbook to reach them, the New York Times has found in a review of thousands of pages of Baltimore County school documents and in interviews with dozens of school officials, researchers, teachers, tech executives and parents. School leaders have become so central to sales that a few private firms will now, for fees that can climb into the tens of thousands of dollars, arrange meetings for vendors with school officials, on some occasions paying superintendents as consultants. Tech-backed organizations have also flown superintendents to conferences at resorts. And school leaders have evangelized company products to other districts. These marketing approaches are legal. But there is little rigorous evidence so far to indicate that using computers in class improves educational results. Even so, schools nationwide are convinced enough to have adopted them in hopes of preparing students for the new economy. In some significant ways, the industry's efforts to push laptops and apps in schools resemble influence techniques pioneered by drug makers. The pharmaceutical industry has long cultivated physicians as experts and financed organizations, like patient advocacy groups, to promote its products. Studies have found that strategies like these work, and even a free $20 meal from a drug maker can influence a doctor's prescribing practices. That is one reason the government today maintains a database of drug maker payments, including meals, to many physicians. Tech companies have not gone as far as drug companies, which have regularly paid doctors to give speeches. But industry practices, like flying school officials to speak at events and taking school leaders to steak and sushi restaurants, merit examination, some experts say. If benefits are flowing in both directions, with payments from schools to vendors, said Rob Reich, a political science professor at Stanford University, and dinner and travel going to the school leaders, it's a pay-for-play arrangement. Close ties between school districts and their tech vendors can be seen nationwide. But the scale of Baltimore County Schools' digital conversion makes the district a case study in industry relationships. Last fall, the district hosted the League of Innovative Schools, a network of tech-friendly superintendents. Dozens of visiting superintendents toured schools together with vendors like Apple, HP and Lego Education, a division of the toy company. The Superintendents League is run by Digital Promise, a nonprofit that promotes technology in schools. It charges $25,000 annually for corporate sponsorships that enable the companies to attend the superintendent meetings. Lego, a sponsor of the Baltimore County meeting, gave a 30-minute pitch, handing out little yellow blocks so the superintendents could build palm-sized Lego ducks. Karen Cater, the chief executive of Digital Promise, said it was important for schools and industry to work together. We want a healthy, void of conflict of interest relationship between people who create products for education and their customers, she said. The reason is so that companies can create the best possible products to meet the needs of schools. Several parents said they were troubled by school officials getting close to the companies seeking their business. Dr. Cynthia M. Boyd, a practicing geriatrician and professor at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine with children in district schools, said it reminded her of drug makers promoting their medicines in hospitals. You don't have to be paid by Big Pharma, or Big Ed Tech, to be influenced, Dr. Boyd said. She has raised concerns about the tech initiative at school board meetings. A makeover is born. Baltimore County's 173 schools span a 600 square mile horseshoe around the city of Baltimore, which has a separate school system. Like many districts, the school system struggles to keep facilities up to date. Some of its 113,000 students attend spacious new schools. Some older schools, though, are overcrowded, requiring trailers as overflow classrooms. In some, tap water runs brown. And, in budget documents, the district said it lacked the dedicated resources for students with disabilities. In a district driven by disparities, Dallas Dance, the superintendent from 2012 through this past summer, made an appealing argument for a tech makeover. To help students develop new economy skills, he said, every school must provide an equitable digital learning environment, including giving every student the same device. Why does a first grader need to have it? Mr. Dance said in an interview last year. In order to break the silos of equity, you've got to say that everyone gets it. The district wanted a device that would work both for youngsters who couldn't yet type and for high schoolers. In early 2014, it chose a particularly complex machine, an HP laptop that converts to a tablet. That device ranked third out of 4 devices the district considered, according to the district's hardware evaluation forms, which the Times obtained. Overall, the HP device scored 27 on a 46-point scale. A Dell device ranked first at 34. The district ultimately awarded a $205 million, multi-year contract to Daily Computers, a Maryland reseller, to furnish the device, called the ElderBook Revolve. Michael Dickerson, a school district spokesman, said, the device chosen was the one that was closely aligned to what was recommended by stakeholders. Daily did not respond to inquiries. With the laptop deal sealed, Silicon Valley kicked into gear. In September 2014, shortly after the first schools received laptops, HP invited the superintendent to give a keynote speech at a major education conference in New York City. Soon after, Gus Schmiedlin, HP's vice president for worldwide education, described the event at a school board meeting. We had to pick one group to present what was the best education technology plan in the world for the last academic year, Mr. Schmiedlin said. And guess whose it was? Baltimore County Public Schools. An HP spokesman said the company did not pay for the trip. He said the company does not provide compensation, meals, travel or other perks to school administrators or any other public sector officials. The superintendent later appeared in an HP video. We are going to continue needing a thought partner like HP to say what's working and what's not working, he said. Microsoft, whose Windows software runs the laptops, named the district a Microsoft Showcase school system. Intel, whose chips power the laptops, gave Ryan Imbrial, the executive director of the district's Department of Innovative Learning, an Intel Education Visionary Award. Recently, parents and teachers have reported problems with the HP devices, including batteries falling out and keyboard tiles becoming detached. HP has discontinued the ElderBook Revolve. Mr. Dickerson, the district spokesman, said there was not a widespread issue with damaged devices. An HP spokesman said, while the Revolve is no longer on the market, it would be factually inaccurate to suggest that's related to product quality. Asked what device would eventually replace the Revolve in the schools, the district said it was asking vendors for proposals. Mr. Dance's technology makeover is now in the hands of an interim superintendent, Verletta White. In April, Mr. Dance announced his resignation, without citing a reason. Ms. White has indicated that she will continue the tech initiative while increasing a focus on literacy. A Baltimore County School Board member, David Felder, said a representative from the Office of the Maryland State Prosecutor had interviewed him in September about Mr. Dance's relationship with a former school vendor, a company not in the tech industry. The prosecutor's office declined to confirm or deny its interest in Mr. Dance. Mr. Dance, who discussed the district's tech initiatives with a Times reporter last year, did not respond to repeated emails and phone calls this week seeking comment. Courting the superintendents. In Baltimore County and beyond, the digital makeover of America's schools has spawned a circuit of conferences, funded by Microsoft, Google, Dell and other tech vendors, that lavish attention on tech-friendly educators. Mr. Dance's travel schedule sheds light on that world. Between March 2014, when the laptop contract was announced, and April 2017, when he announced his resignation, Mr. Dance took at least 65 out-of-state trips related to the district's tech initiatives or involving industry-funded groups, according to a Times analysis of travel documents obtained under public records laws, nearly 2 trips per month on average. Those trips cost more than $33,000. The Times counted only trips with local receipts, indicating Mr. Dance set foot in the cities. At least $13,000 of Mr. Dance's airline tickets, hotel bills, meals and other fees were paid for by organizations sponsored by tech companies, some of which were school vendors, the Times found. The $13,000 is an incomplete number, because some groups cover superintendents' costs directly, which means school records may not include them. Another way tech companies reach superintendents is to pay private businesses that set up conferences or small group meetings with them. Superintendents nationwide have attended these events. One prominent provider is the Education Research and Development Institute, or IVORY, which regularly gathers superintendents and other school leaders for conferences where they can network with companies that sell to schools. IVORY offered several service levels this year, according to a membership rate card obtained by the Times. A $13,000 fee for bronze membership entitles a company to one confidential meeting, where executives can meet with 5 school leaders to discuss products and school needs. Diamond members could pay $66,000 for 6 such meetings. IVORY has offered superintendents $2,000 per conference as participating consultants, according to a Louisiana Board of Ethics filing. And there are other perks. Because we are asking for their time and expertise, we commonly offer to pay the cost of their food, transportation and lodging during their participation, IVORY's president, David M. Sundstrom, said in an email. Mr. Dance's calendar indicated that he had attended at least 5 IVORY events. Mr. Dance received payment last year as an advisor for IVORY, according to his most recent district financial disclosure. It lists Dell Enterprises, a company that owned IVORY in the past, as an employer from which he earned income. Last February, at an IVORY conference in New Orleans, Mr. Dance met with Curriculum Associates, which makes reading software, as well as Dreambox Learning, a math platform. At the time, both companies had contracts with the district. A few months after the event, the school board approved additional money for both companies. Each contract is now worth about $3.2 million. A Dreambox spokeswoman said there was no connection between the meeting and its contract. Even the appearance of impropriety is something we take very seriously and take steps to avoid, she said. A Curriculum Associates spokeswoman said, "These panels are not sales presentations, but rather focus group opportunities to solicit feedback on products under development." IVORY has offered superintendents $2,000 per conference as participating consultants, according to a Louisiana Board of Ethics filing. And there are other perks. Because we are asking for their time and expertise, we commonly offer to pay the cost of their food, transportation and lodging during their participation, IVORY's president, David M. Sundstrom, said in an email. Mr. Dance's calendar indicated that he had attended at least 5 IVORY events. Mr. Dance received payment last year as an advisor for IVORY, according to his most recent district financial disclosure. It lists Dell Enterprises, a company that owned IVORY in the past, as an employer from which he earned income. Last February, at an IVORY conference in New Orleans, Mr. Dance met with Curriculum Associates, which makes reading software, as well as Dreambox Learning, a math platform. At the time, both companies had contracts with the district. A few months after the event, the school board approved additional money for both companies. Each contract is now worth about $3.2 million. A Dreambox spokeswoman said there was no connection between the meeting and its contract. Even the appearance of impropriety is something we take very seriously and take steps to avoid, she said. A Curriculum Associates spokeswoman said, "These panels are not sales presentations, but rather focus group opportunities to solicit feedback on products under development." Ms. White, the interim superintendent, has been involved with IVORY since 2013, according to Mr. Dickerson. He said Ms. White used vacation time to attend events, where she provided guidance to education-related companies on goods, services and products that are in development to benefit student performance. Asked whether Ms. White had received IVORY payments, Mr. Dickerson said, "Participation in IVORY is done independently of the school system." In an email, Ms. White said she found IVORY to be a beneficial professional learning experience. She didn't respond to a question about IVORY compensation. She added, "I do not believe there are any conflicts of interests related to the district's tech initiative." Mr. Sundstrom, IVORY's president, said education companies pay a fee to attend events not to meet school leaders or make a sale, but to get meaningful feedback on their education products from knowledgeable school leaders. He added that school officials do not make purchases at IVORY sessions and that it is their school boards that approve district purchases. Baltimore County's travel rules say, no travel expenses will be paid by those seeking to do business with the Baltimore County Public Schools prior to obtaining a contract. Mr. Dickerson explained that applied to companies currently bidding for contracts. A foundation's big fundraiser. Beneath crystal chandeliers last April, politicians, school leaders, vendors and community members gathered in a banquet hall. The occasion was State of the Schools, an annual fundraising luncheon arranged by the Education Foundation of Baltimore County Public Schools. The foundation was created in the early 1990s and raises money for schools. Tech companies have made significant donations, and have directors sitting on the foundation's board. The directors include employees from Discovery Education, Pearson, and Microsoft, all vendors with multi-million-dollar district contracts. Daily, the laptop provider, was the biggest donor, giving $30,000. McGraw-Hill, Discovery Education, Pearson and Microsoft each donated $1,500 to $15,000. Of the $211,500 in publicly listed donations for the event, tech companies gave about 43%. You have these huge contracts, and then you donate all this money, and the foundation puts up a banner advertising your company's name, said Michael J. Collins, a former Maryland state senator and former school board member. I just didn't think that passed the smell test. Discovery Education said it trained employees to avoid potential conflicts of interest. Microsoft said its policies followed government gift and ethics rules. Pearson said its donation had been nominal and vetted to prevent conflict of interest. McGraw-Hill said it was committed to integrity and transparency. Deborah S. Phelps, the foundation's executive director, said it awarded scholarships and gave schools grants for projects in culture, science, technology and other subjects. When asked if the foundation had policies governing donations from vendors or potential vendors, Ms. Phelps said no. There's not necessarily a policy, she said. There is also no policy prohibiting foundation board members who are vendors from reviewing grants involving their or competitors' products, she said. Mr. Dickerson said the focus of Baltimore County Public Schools was on supporting students, teachers and their learning environments. He added, "We are unapologetic for engaging with our education foundation, business partners and community stakeholders in an effort to close known achievement gaps." Mr. Reich of Stanford suggested school districts establish clearer rules governing their relationships with vendors, particularly with tech companies racing to win over the gatekeepers to America's classrooms. Otherwise, parents could lose trust in the system. School leaders should be just as concerned about the perception of corruption as actual corruption, he said.
Welcome to What's New, your channel for everyday solutions.
Be sure to subscribe, share and like our videos. This is What's New.